your state-of-the-art metal, and I've got the key to the Ark. Together, we could rule. Without Megatron.
What happened?
Usurp Megatron's command and take the Ark for ourselves. It is ambitious.
I'm that kind of a girl. So what do you say? Partners?
I say, you are a fool.
Beloved!
You'll be able to move in a moment. Just enough to feel the final blows.
Unhand her, reptilian filth!
Too much energy.
Maximize!
Alert. Quantum surge detected. Vector 597.
No! Not that!
Greetings, protoforms, and welcome to Too Much Energon, the Lasercomb podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am your other host, NeoCal.
So, NeoCal,
Yes, sir.
have you ever had a moment where you're like, my God, what am I doing with my life? And that's excluding recording 41 episodes of a podcast about a 25-year-old children's show.
Excluding that?
Excluding that, yes.
Because it's worse if I exclude that. Because at least I'm diligent on this, right? At least we do this shit every week.
Yeah.
Excluding that has been something that has plagued me on and off since I was 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's like, whoa, man.
Whoa. It's not where I was expecting that to go, but by all means, do tell.
Just that, oh man. Just that feel. People are like, oh, you can't be hard on yourself, but that feeling when you know if you're just like a little bit more ambitious and I was gonna say protagonist. And you wow,
Who do you
my
think
mind
you
just
are,
went
John
blank.
David Washington?
God no. And you put things off just like a little bit more and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, or oh, I'm gonna get this job, or you know what, this is a decent job, I'll just stay here. And then like the years like roll by and you're like, man, I haven't started any of these things that I wanted to. Like 2014 I wanted to start my YouTube channel, and 2016 I like wanted to like try to apply to be in more movies and blah blah blah. And then before you know it, it's like 2020 part 2 and you're like, huh, well, things could be worse.
Well, we're doing podcasts, so I mean, there's that.
I like that.
So back in 2001, there was a show that premiered on Fox very shortly after 9/11 called 24. You ever see 24?
A certain Mr. Sutherland
Yep.
is fighting against forces that would be the doom of America.
Yep. Lots of terrorism going on in that show.
Clock memes. Boop, 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 boop. What an iconic soundbite.
There's a lot of
Oh, it's
iconic sounds in that show. Like even the phones in CTU, they have this very specific ring that just really sticks out in my head.
I think I can hear it in my head.
It's like
Yeah.
doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, that like just the single chirp before they flip their phone open and answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. great show. I big fan of it. I got into it back in like 2005 and was back before the days of streaming. I was renting the seasons of the show, one DVD at a time, and watching through them 4 episodes at a time.
But he worked at Blockbuster, so it was free.
Well,
you didn't yet.
No, I didn't yet. And the video store that I worked at the time, Movie Gallery, didn't have... They had some seasons of 24, but like I think they didn't have season 1 and season 3.
That is such like a small movie store thing to do. Not even a small movie store like Blockbuster. What was it? It was like, hey, we have heroes, but like, do you remember how like it'd be in volumes, right? Like episode 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8, right?
Yep.
But like, we only had 2 copies of each, right? And then as the years go by, nobody returned like volume 2. So we've got like 3 copies of it, like the first volume, no copies of volume 2, and then 1 copy of volume 3. And it's like, what's the point of even having these?
So, yeah, to circle back, I had an inkling the other day. I was like, oh, 24 premiered in November 2001. That is 20 years ago now. I'm like, I wonder if it's available on streaming, because I feel like now might be a good time to actually go back and rewatch through it and see just how terribly that show's politics have aged.
Oh, God.
Which, spoilers, they haven't aged well. The show is still riveting as all hell, though. And it turned out the entire series is available on Disney Plus in Canada.
Cool.
In Canada, at least. I don't know about other regions, but here in Canada, it's available on Disney Plus. So I'm like, oh fuck yeah, this is happening. And I'm already like halfway through the first season, but I was looking up the cast yesterday, and
okay.
So the show stars Kiefer Sutherland, best known for his role in The Lost Boys. Let's be clear.
Yeah, who even cares about what is it? Like Smack Byers? Nobody knows that guy. But as the mullet vampire in Lost Boys,
yeah,
better recognize.
So yeah, I looked up Kiefer Sutherland, and it was like, oh, his birth date is blah blah, blah blah blah, 1966, and it's like age 54 on Wikipedia, and I'm like, okay. And then I started doing the math in my head, and I'm like, so season 1 of 24 in 2001. Kiefer Sutherland was fucking younger than I am now. He was 34 years old, and I am 36. And I'm just like, my God, I have done nothing with my life.
That's a weird post to compare yourself to, though. It's just like famous, like TV stars, TV and movie star. Like it's... I understand that like feel. You're like, holy shit, he was 34, but you know, not everybody is a TV and movie.
True.
Famous TV and movie actor.
True, but still, I was just like, my God,
And I haven't even been in one TV show.
No, actually, I haven't.
I've been in a couple Nickelodeon movies as an extra.
Which ones? Where can people find you, Cal?
You can creep me possibly crossing the street in a Nickelodeon straight-to-TV movie called Big Time Rush. Which was a TV show, but then there was a movie. I can't remember what the movie was called. Or are there multiple movies? It was a Big Time Rush thing. Which I think...
I'm seeing if that's available on anything.
Good point. I haven't Googled this. I haven't even seen it, by the way. Movie. Big Time Rush.
2012. It is available to rent on the iTunes store for $4.99.
Big Time Movie
Yeah.
is what it's called. Yeah. Wow, I haven't been in a movie since that.
Yeah,
Not that I've been in a movie, but like I haven't done extra work since 2012.
Yeah, 2012. That movie is only an hour and 7 minutes long. That's barely a fucking movie.
So the setting in that movie, while we're on this subject, the setting of that movie takes place. They jump around the globe, right? So they're in China, they're in London, and then they're in America. So what's a great place to film when you're looking for those three locations? Victoria. All the places in the Chinese setting.
Oh,
They're shot
yeah,
in
yeah.
Chinatown, right? We have a lot of Victorian architecture. I mean, we've got a lot of modern architecture.
Yeah.
In the city Christopher and I live in. A lot of it was shot at the Empress Hotel. I think it was called the Queen's Regent Hotel or something in the movie. And it's funny. I think a friend told me there's a shot where there's a bunch of people outside the hotel cheering, which is funny because I worked at a hotel at the time. And I also was an extra as somebody that worked in this hotel.
Oh, that's funny.
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird.
Hey, just
so
playing to your strengths, right?
Yeah, you could see me crossing a very fancy hotel. You could see me crossing the street as like fans are like waving signs, cheering them. And then when they go inside the hotel, I'm also a bellman in the hotel. Like it makes it seem like there are thousands of extras. Nah, man, there's like 50, right? And they just reuse them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's just funny. Yeah.
Gotta save those dollars somehow.
Yeah. Most of the time spent as an extra is like sitting in a waiting room, sleeping because you work graveyard shifts and you are on set for 14 hours. So many people slept, man. It was just like common.
My partner has done quite a bit of extra work over the years, and she was telling me that like a lot of the time it's just like sitting in a chair reading a book until someone is like, "Hey, we need you for this scene." It's like okay,
hey, we need 18 people like in this age demographic for this scene, and people line up and they go, "Okay, the rest of you go back."
Yeah. And she's like, "But you'll be sitting there waiting for like 12 hours at times."
People do their university work. People like sleep depending on what they need, or people just like read.
Get out the old Game Boy.
You make a mighty like $14 an hour.
Hey, and like 2012 money, like $14 an hour, that was well above minimum wage.
Or was it $12 an hour? I think it was like $12 an hour, but I got bumped up to $22 an hour because the role as a bellman, because I interacted with some of the main actors on set.
So then it became a speaking
extra
role? Yeah.
To not because I'm not even in a speaking role. I'm in the background, like taking somebody's card. I can't even remember what I was like doing and miming like I'm talking to somebody. Minor role, my bit part. I don't know the terminology, but because of that, all of my hours were converted into this like.
They call that miming talking. They call that walla walla. Rhubarb, walla walla.
Yeah, because that's the your mouth moves the most when you're making those syllables.
Yeah, traditionally, like extras in scenes, like I think it's changed in modern times, but like in traditional Hollywood, like extras in the background who are supposed to be like in a restaurant or restaurant patrons or whatever, who are talking would just be like one person, like they just be like saying rhubarb and walla walla to one another.
Oh yeah, no, I heard that, but nobody ever like told me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember like
I think that
learning
might be like
in
an old
class.
school, like Hollywood
Probably
thing.
an old school thing.
Yeah. But I think they still call it Walla.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, 24. Good show. I'm enjoying that.
24. Yeah. Kiefer Sutherland, younger than Christopher when he started filming that.
Yep. Well, to be fair though, like, well, most of the cast, I looked them up. Most of the cast was between like 34 and 36 when the show started, which I'm like, huh, interesting. But like, I feel like his character Jack Bauer and his wife Terry, I feel like they're supposed to be older than that, because like they have
It definitely feels like they're older than that.
They have a daughter in the show, Kim, who is supposed to be, I think, 17 in the first season. And his wife...
Wait a second.
his wife, Terry Bauer, like, if you look at, like, a picture of her, like, she's, like, she doesn't, like, look particularly old, but she very much has that, like, 40s woman, like, hairstyle and, like, the way she dresses. Like, she looks like someone in her 40s.
Tried to make her look older.
Yeah. And, like, Jack Bauer is, like, I think supposed to be, like, a 17-year veteran of CTU.
Yeah, if he's a veteran, how is he 30?
Yeah. So I think the characters are supposed to be in their mid-40s, but, like, Kiefer Sutherland, the actor, was only 34 when he shot that show.
Yeah, I just did the math. I'm like, wait, if they have a 17-year-old daughter, oh god, they hooked up really young.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he's like a career man, so they probably weren't having a child like when they were teenagers.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. Go and watch 21. I mean, go and watch. That's
the prequel.
This year, 21 has fucked with my mind so much. It just inserted itself into that sentence.
Yeah.
The show is called 24 because that's how many hours are in a day.
Yep. Events occur in real time.
Real time, baby.
Real time. So,
welcome to Too Much Energon.
This is episode 41 of Too Much Energon. And this week on the show, we are reviewing the 7th episode of Season 3 of Beast Wars, Proving Grounds. It originally aired on February 7th, 1999. And we're about to get into talking about the episode in just a moment here. But first, here's a word about our Patreon.
Do you like 90s animation?
I do.
Do you have $2 burning a hole in your pocket?
I do. Wait, no, I'm broke right now.
Do you want to listen to 3 grown men talk about 90s cartoons like it was yesterday?
I know I do.
I mean, I'm already doing that, so why would I want to listen to someone else do it?
Dude, you're supposed to say yes. Give us money.
All you need to do is subscribe to the Lasercomb Patreon. For $2 a month, you get access to our Discord channel, which is where we record all of these fine shows. And you also get our eternal gratitude. Isn't that the greatest gift of all?
Besides money.
Besides money?
Which is
what
a
we
gift
want.
to us.
This is a very good gift. Yes.
I'm sure Christopher can salvage something out of this.
And for the audio listeners, this is a Transformer that I bought today. It is Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Inferno. No, it's not Beast Wars Inferno. It is G1 Inferno.
I didn't recognize him. I thought it was like a combination of Red Alert and Jazz. You can see how I thought that, right?
Yeah, his head kind of looks like Jazz, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Inferno.
Yeah. I had the G1 Inferno toy back when I was a little kid, so there's a slight bit of nostalgia going on there. But I don't know, it's weird because like, right, I haven't really bought any Transformers for a few weeks now because we're kind of at a point where I have all of the figures that are currently out that I want. I'm kind of just waiting for the new ones to be released.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, like, starting about a week ago, I think I started jonesing a little bit. I was like, man, like, I kind of need a new Transformer, like. And so I went to EB Games, and for the American listeners, that's our version of GameStop. Their EB Games is owned by GameStop, and for our Australian listeners, you already know because you have EB Games there too.
Electronic Boutique.
So I went there today, and I saw this Kingdom Inferno figure, and I'm like, you know, this isn't the Kingdom Inferno that would be my first choice. But because he's not a certain insane red fire ant. But, you know, this will have to do.
That'll do.
Yeah.
That'll do, pig.
There's my Transformers fix for the next, like, week or so.
Well, when we were younger, like, I don't think you were into either of these things, but that weird little fix, like, this thing is mine and I saved my money for it, was very real. Realize we're doing like a 90s show, but in that time, like, buying pogs for me, right? Like saving up money and buying like packs of pogs, and you would get random ones just in like little plastic baggies at a corner store. Like this, do you know
I
what
remember
I mean?
that. Like, yeah. That was so weird. Shit.
It was weird, right? Like you never see that now. You wouldn't just see like random Legos in like a Ziploc thing now. Now they're in like official shiny plastic, and you know they're $20 and they're sitting there. But like for some reason, anybody old enough to remember and that actually bought pogs, you could just buy random assortments of like Philippine or like Chinese pogs, like 100 for like $10 in like a fucking plastic bag from the corner store guy. Right.
When I was a kid, well, and like when the Pog craze was going on too, like there were tons of like knockoff Pogs.
For whatever reason.
But
not poison, but poisson.
My mom used to regularly shop at this store that was part of a chain in British Columbia called Christian Books and Music.
Okay.
It's a very that's the name of the store. It's very
amazing.
It's very to the point. But they would have like Christian themed like fake Pogs.
And that's the thing though, those fake Pogs I feel like they should be worth more than like the normal like Pogs, right?
Because
like,
they're the ones that no one remembers. I mean, not that anyone really remembers Pogs.
Hard to
anyway.
find ones.
Yeah.
I'd have like weird Japanese ones with like fake Power Rangers on them and stuff, right? Like just I'd have the weirdest shit. But yeah, like the official ones were like with the Sasquatch, right? But do you remember like it had its own culture, like 8 balls and skulls were on the slammers.
Yeah.
And they'd say poison underneath them.
Well, you know what was the worst? Were those fucking plastic slammers.
I have a few plastic slammers of varying thickness, and
the metal ones were the shit.
Remember the aluminum ones that were like thick, like a fucking inch thick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple of those. I have a plastic one. Had like a cobra on it. It was neon green, and it had grooves for your 2 fingers on the back, so you could like hold it and slam.
Nice. Oh man,
I'm wondering if there's like anyone listening. you must be aware that people actually played Pogs for keeps. Because I knew a lot of collectors, but not that many people, apparently, that I've spoken to on the island, like, played the game Pogs and wagered each other's Pogs.
Oh, I wagered Pogs.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You goddamn right.
That's how you do it. That's the name of the game. But yeah, I imagine, like, probably at least, like, 90% of people listening to / watching this show are old enough to have watched Beast Wars in the 90s and therefore lived through the whole Pog craze.
Even if they didn't buy any Pogs themselves, they were aware of them.
Got a bunch of Batman Forever Pogs.
Oh shit! And they had glow in the dark parts.
Yeah.
Like the borders were glow in the dark.
Yeah.
They were official. Did McDonald's give them out?
That sounds right, yeah. And like the one side would have a photo of a character from the movie, and the other side would have that Batman question mark logo.
The Riddler.
Yeah. It would have like the question mark, but with the bat symbol in the middle of it.
Absolutely, I literally still have those. Fucking amazing. The next time we air this, I'll bring them out. I haven't looked at them in over a decade. Fuck, man, probably 2, but I have them.
I'm amazed you still do, honestly.
I do. I remember the fucking tubes
that
you could store them in. Do you remember some were like fucking 2 feet long?
Yeah, I had a couple that were like super tall.
Yeah, I've got a 2-foot long one, and then 2 like smaller ones. One for my like shiny ones that I like, and one to hold all my slammers.
I can't believe you still have Pogs.
I do. I'll whip them out. I'll just probably post pictures on Lay Twitter. You remember Pogs?
I
remember Alf? Well, he's back in Pog form.
I want to see you like bust them out on like the next episode of Too Much Energon, because I want to see these.
Amazing. Okay.
So
I have hundreds and hundreds, man. I won't disappoint. I'll even find the Batman ones with Jim Carrey. I think I have like, what were they? They were Batman and Robin? No, not Batman and Robin.
No, it's Batman Forever.
It was Batman and Forever. I don't think I have any other Batman ones. I think I just have Batman Forever.
Well, Batman Forever came out in 1995, which was the height of like Pog mania.
Right. And Batman and Robin was the next one. And that was kind of when Pogs were on the outs.
That was in 97, and Pogs were already kind of dying out.
Pokemon.
Pokemon cards were already like swooping in to replace them.
Yes.
And I mean,
that explains why.
look which one's still around, so.
Oh shit. I got Pokemon cards too.
I never got into that one.
I collected them. I tried to play with people, but people were so afraid of losing their cards that nobody would play.
Children.
Nobody plays for keeps anymore, man.
No.
That hardened you as a kid playing Pogs. The first time you lose and you have this feeling of like losing, and you try to like get them back and be like, oh, come on, they're mine. I signed my name on the back and everything. But then the first time you win, you feel like a fucking baller.
Yep. You're like, they're mine now, bitch.
Right?
So, this episode of Beast Wars.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of Beast Wars opens up in on the Axelon in Ark Mountain with a like vector grid of a
curvy arachnid,
female-ish looking body. Yes,
yep.
curvy arachnid. And the Maixmals are doing some science on Blackarachnia, and it seems like they're zeroing in on some component inside of her.
Mm-hmm. Hardware.
Yeah. And
Rat Trap says some Rat Trap bullshit and insults her.
yeah, and she's all like, "No, fuck you, Rat Man." And then
Yeah.
Cheetor is like, "Man, check out those lines," or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, now those are what I call lines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I mishear? I played that back a couple times on my like my copy in the main room.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what he was saying. I'm like, is he saying legs or lines?
Yeah, no, it's lines. It's like it's
Man.
weird. He's like
16-year-old Cheetor is cringe. Just- like right? Like onset puberty, Cheetor is a lot worse than young, naive Cheetor.
yeah,
Just
he's like about ready to like start fapping in front of everyone over like a hollow like vector grid like of just like the shape of Blackarachnia's body.
Meanwhile, Blackarachnia in the flesh
Is
in the
right
steel,
there.
in the steel,
In the
is-
steel,
is
there we
right
go.
there. Yeah, and I'm like, she can hear you. Rhinox is like, man, I feel like Rhinox is getting more and more tired as the seasons go on.
Yeah.
Right? He's just like kind of done with life, and he's like, fuck off and knock it off. I'm almost finished.
I kind of dig that.
So do I.
As
I
someone
like him
who-
a lot more.
As someone who is on that journey himself through life.
Where you're just like the amount of it's the fucks economy. I don't know if I ever mentioned it to you. In my mind, when you hit puberty, you start generating maximum number of fucks, like 2 fucks a day, right? So you have lots of fucks to give. You're worried about everything. You have too many fucks to give. You can complain and care and argue about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you are near 30, you only generate about 1 fuck per week. So you can't afford to give away your fucks freely. And so you like literally have no fucks to give by the time you're like 35. You're like, I generate 1 fuck a month, and that's to paying bills and to like my partner. Right? So when people say I have no fucks to give, I feel like if it's a currency, I actually do. I'm generating so little fucks, I don't give a fuck anymore. I can't afford it. I don't have them hoarded up.
I was out at dinner the other night with my partner, and we had a conversation about how, like, I was telling her that, like, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and when I was in my 20s, I was this real, like, kind of aggro, like, counterculture kind of person. Like, man, fuck the mainstream. Fuck sports. Fuck your stupid, like...
Fuck pop music.
Yeah, fuck pop music. Fuck your, like, mainstream movies. Fuck anything but indie cinema. And, like, I admit, like, I was one of those douchebags. And I remember at the time, like, seeing, like, Kevin Smith touched on this in one of his, like, Q&A session bits. And I heard, like, some stand-up comedians talk about this, too. And they're like, yeah, when you're young, you're like, man, fuck the system. Fuck what's popular. Fuck you and fuck you. I'm the fucking coolest over here because I don't like that popular shit. Fuck what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Smith himself was like, but then once you hit your 30s, you're just like, you know what, man? Like, I don't give a shit what you like because I got fucking bills to pay. And I remember when, like, hearing people talk about this, people older than myself talk about this when I was in my 20s and very much in that, like, that stage of douchebaggery. Being like, man, that's never going to be me. I'm never going to be like that. I'm always going to be this passionate about these things. And no, you know what? Like, at 36 years old, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm like, yeah, sports. Yeah, you know what? Cool. Like, I like
things.
I like baseball. I kind of enjoy football. I don't really like hockey or basketball, but you know what? I see why people get into it.
Yeah.
I don't like this kind of music that you're listening to, but you know what? It wasn't made for me, but it was clearly made for you. So you know what? Cool. I've got my own shit to worry about.
Not only that, but there's this, like you said, in your 30s, you also stop policing yourself. So you might listen to a rap song or something you're not into, or a country song. It might be like, or a pop song. It might be like, what is this? You're listening to the radio and someone's like Taylor Swift, and you're like, this kind of kicks. Okay. And when in your 20s, Nickelback, fuck Nickelback. Just because. Fuck Nickelback, man. Oh, fuck Justin Bieber. And then I'm like listening to like the radio, and I'm like, man, what is this song? It keeps popping up. And, you know, you pull into your parking spot and you Shazam it, and you're like, Justin Bieber? I'm okay with that. You let go of your old ego when you let yourself like something that old you would have just like hated out of principle. Well, that's when you grow up.
Well, me in my teens and my 20s, I was so caught up with just how into metal I was. And not just into metal, but into true metal.
Real metal.
Real metal. The underground shit. But even the stuff that I listened to wasn't supremely underground. If you're someone who listens to metal, it was still things that most metalheads would have heard of anyway. But like, I was always like, if I heard a song of, I actively ignored other genres of music because I'm like, I'm a metalhead. I only listen to metal.
That's how metal works. If you listen to anything else, you're not really a metalhead.
And then in the early 2010s, I was in my late 20s at that point. I was like pushing 30, and then, you know, I hear Uptown Funk, the song Uptown Funk, and I'm like, wow, this song fucking slaps. And then like a few months later, I hear Catch My Breath by Kelly Clarkson, and then lo and behold, I'm like singing along to it. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't give a shit anymore. And now at this point, I'm like, yeah. You should see how eclectic my Apple Music library is.
How did we end up like this? And try to turn the tables. And then you're singing Nickelback, and you're like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
I don't know that I'll go that far, but no judgment.
That's the only lyrics I could remember from a Nickelback song. I don't know what it's called. But Someday? Oh shit, maybe that's not even Nickelback. Maybe that's like Third Eye Blind. Oh wow, I'm just gonna stop talking before I offend some.
Oh wait, Someday when my life has passed me by. No, we're thinking of a different song.
We're thinking of a different song.
I'm thinking of Sugar Ray. Someday by Sugar Ray.
Yeah. Now that song slaps.
That song is pretty good, yeah.
And I wonder why did me someday. Yeah.
Yeah. It was on Big Shiny Tunes 4.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. My favorite Big Shiny Tunes.
Speaking of Big Shiny Tunes, we got Big Shiny Maixmals.
I was going to say, speaking of things that are big and shiny, we got Blackarachnia.
Rhinox's head?
Yeah, so basically they're trying to find the Predacon programming core located in her so they can extract it and turn her back into a Maximal.
Yeah, interesting amount of lore we're getting. I wasn't expecting a lot from this episode, but apparently when they reprogram, it's not just something in their head.
Yeah.
There's something like let's say a CPU, right? There's something in their core that is affecting their spark.
Mhm.
Because as it's revealed, they can try to tamper with it or change it or remove it or whatever, but it might extinguish her spark.
Mhm.
Curious. So it's possible, but given the facilities they have, and I'm assuming it's untested, like this is like new territory. They wouldn't be sure if Blackarachnia would survive.
Yes, well, I'm sure the concept of stealing protoforms and stasis pods and reprogramming them is something that's kind of just limited to this exact situation that these two factions are in right now on planet Energon.
Yes, because otherwise they're at peace, right?
Yeah.
And converting them probably isn't a very common thing.
Probably not, no. And I imagine back on Cybertron, like Predacons
Just illegal.
just make new Predacons.
I had a conversation with my partner, and we were like, so they're female Transformers. How do they make more? And she went and dug into it, and she told me that the Transformers had met a race long, long ago that had genders, and they just kind of emulated that. So there's no necessity for just male and female, I guess. They're copying other intelligent species. And indeed, the writers had originally said, for G1 apparently, had originally said, hey, they're all just going to be like genderless.
Yeah.
And Toy, after a while, I'm not sure how long, but marketing or someone came in and said, actually, hey, no, girls watch this. You need to make some of them girls. I was like, oh.
And then in the movie, we got RC. Although there was no toy in the 80s produced for RC.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Why not? Huh.
I don't know.
Guess they thought it wouldn't sell.
Probably.
Yeah. Everything's about money, right?
Yeah, there's this idea I remember it came out a few years ago that like the former like head of Disney in charge of like the liaison between like Disney and Marvel Studios, Ike Perlmutter.
It sounds like such a fake name.
He specifically like didn't want toys of characters like Black Widow because he said boys don't want merchandise of girls.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Boys
I imagine
at that
even
age
if
don't like girls yet.
Even if within like the
So I get
past
it.
like decades, someone working in the selling toys business has that mentality, I'm sure way more people had that mentality in the mid 80s.
That was probably standard.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, like without like diving too deep or getting like up in arms over like equality or anything, if you just think about it and you're like, well, action figures, kids are going to be like, and pretending they're fighting. Transformers are fighting each other, so it's a combat thing, right?
Yeah.
So things that fought each other were meant for boys, and things like Barbie and My Little Pony and that kind of thing, where things get along, were meant for girls. Not saying it's right, not saying that should be the norm or anything, but that's just how things were at the time, right?
Yeah.
It would make sense that somebody would go, hey, boys don't like girls yet. They haven't hit puberty. So they don't want their action figures to be girls.
Well, and
Nobody wants to show up with the girl toy.
Well, and even their attempt at making a girl Transformer, she's pink and white.
That's it.
Like, she looks like something you would see in the girls' toy aisle at Toys R Us.
Pink and white, yeah, those neutral
Yeah.
colors that go well together. Oh, speaking of pink and white.
But like, if you ever go into Toys R Us and you walk down like the action figure aisle, you'll come across the Barbie aisle, and it will just be like a wall of pink.
Especially the packaging.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't believe this at first. I had to look it up, but apparently like pink and like red colors were masculine in the first half of the 20th century. And like baby blue was like a more neutral color.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
It could be one of those urban things, urban hearsay, where it's been told to so many people down the line that everybody thinks it's true. I don't know. Like the you swallow 2 spiders a year thing, which is absolute jabron, absolutely jabroni. It's not true. You don't swallow a certain number of spiders a year. Probably none in your life.
Probably not.
But did you hear that growing up?
I heard it was 7.
7 a year? Wow, that number keeps going up every time I. Yeah. That was started as part of a social experiment. A psychologist was talking about urban myths. So she started, what were they called? Forwards. She started an email forward talking about, on average, people in the UK or America swallow X number of spiders a year. And she only sent out like 100 or something like emails. And apparently that completely formed this idea that people swallow spiders every year.
When was that? Because like I first heard about that in like the early 90s.
Yeah, this is like proto like internets, right?
Oh, okay.
Like late 80s, early 90s kind of thing. Or maybe that's an urban myth too. Who knows?
Speaking of swallowing spiders.
Yeah, Blackarachnia tells Cheetor to his face he needs to knock it off with his crush.
Yeah. And Rhinox and Optimus like break it up, and yeah, Cheetor and Rat Trap fuck off, and
they're kind of I don't like throwing this word around, but they kind of have a little incel moment there, where after Blackarachnia tells Cheetor to knock it off with his crush, and Optimus tells Cheetor to go out on patrol. He's like glad to, and as he's walking away with Rat Trap, Cheetor is like, Rat Trap's like, huh, Predacons, who needs them? And Cheetor's like, not me. And I'm like, 10 seconds ago, bro,
right?
You were like, oh, check out those lines. Ready to like fucking pounce and bite into her ass. And she's like, hey, dude, you need to knock it off with your crush. It's getting cringe.
Yeah.
And 10 seconds later, he's like, fuck girls anyway. She's a stupid Predacon.
Yeah.
She's not even hot. And I'm like, okay. Okay, buddy.
It's like that
that's a typical teenager reaction to rejection.
Oh, not even teenager, really.
No, good point. Not even teenager.
I follow like a bunch of Instagram accounts that are like just people like submitting like Tinder messages they get. It's women submitting Tinder messages they get from men, and it's like it's always.
Is it called Good Guys? Or sorry, Nice Guys? Is this a subreddit called Nice Guys?
Now, my favorite one I think is called Beam Me Up Soft Boy.
Go on.
But like the gist of it is usually like some guy is just like, oh man, you're so hot, and she's like, thanks, and he's like, oh man, your tits are so great, and she's like, thanks, and he's like, oh, do you wanna come over here and get fucked by me? And she's like, no, sorry, I'm not interested. And then he'll just be like, fucking whore.
Wow.
Fucking fat, ugly whore. And it's like...
She's a whore because she did not sleep with you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you were just complimenting her nice big tits. And as soon as she says, no, sorry, I'm not interested, you're like, oh, well, you're fat anyway.
There's a subreddit called Nice Guys, and there's a subreddit called Nice Girls, which showcases people like that when they're rejected, they get like real mean and ugly. Even if they're let down like really nicely. If you find that kind of thing amusing, please go check out.
I'm going to check that out.
Nice Guys. And you wouldn't think there'd be as many nice girls, but it's different. Different.
I've encountered some.
You've encountered some nice girls?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So have I.
And even like a couple who have turned into nice girls after we like, like hooked up. But I was like, hey, like,
oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, like, I'm not really feeling it. Like, it was fun, but like, I think we're done. And then she'll be like, well, you have a small dick and you were fucking terrible in bed anyway. And I'm like, okay. It's like, why did you want to keep seeing me then?
Okay, have a nice day. Isn't it funny how you only mysteriously have a small dick after a girl doesn't like you?
Yeah.
Or after a girl is broken up with or rejected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Blackarachnia overhears Cheetor and Rat Trap being nice bots.
Hashtag nice bots.
Yeah. And she is like, well, you're not gonna turn me into a Maximal. See you later.
Yeah, because she overhears Optimus and Rhinox talking science about converting her.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah. She goes to beast mode, fucks off, and leaves the base. And for some reason, DinoClone II is just pulling the old Maximal maneuver, hiding behind a rock, watching Blackarachnia.
Right outside their base.
Right outside the base. And is like,
how did he get there?
The game begins just as I knew it would.
And I'm like, all right.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Now that I've watched this once and I'm watching it again, and I'm like, what are you... I thought that would be revealed, but it's not. So I'm like, what? But I don't like this Dino Clone. Like, I actually like original Dino Clone better. I mean, we hammed up his caricature. We turned him into like a Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah.
Into a lover of all things thespian.
Yeah. A true actor, if you will.
A true actor. But this one, you know what? I like a lot of parts of this episode. And one of them
I do too,
is
yeah.
the forest part where Blackarachnia like walks up to like a lake and like stares at her reflection.
Yeah.
Some existential crisis. She has her own poetic moment when she catches that butterfly.
Yeah, so her like kind of dilemma here is like, oh, they want to remove my Predacon core and make me a Maximal, which is what I originally was, but like this is who I am now, and I like who I am.
And what if I change who I am, then is it really me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like having this existential crisis while holding a butterfly. And the fragility of the butterfly's life is like a reflection of like her identity, I guess. Because indeed,
it's weirdly deep for this show.
It's weirdly deep, and it's not too long, and I think kids can get it. because she's like, well, like I'm not letting my like future be determined by someone else. Unlike and your future ends right now. So signifying she's going to kill the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this kind of like poetic, like
it reminds me.
I understand I have to take my life into my own hands moment.
It reminds me of that a little bit of that bit in The Lion King when Scar has that. I think it's a bird he has, and he's like, "Life's not fair, isn't it? I will never be king,
right.
blah, 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 and you will never see the light of another day." And he goes to eat the bird.
Oh, and then somebody walks in.
Yeah, someone interrupts him. But it kind of...
Mufasa? Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of reminds me of that scene a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. And indeed, she actually does let go of the butterfly because she sees Dinobot.
Yeah.
I can't call him Dinobot. It's DinoClone 2.0.
Yeah. I've officially dubbed him in my head DinoClone II.
DinoClone 2. Yeah. And she says, "Oh, just what I needed to let off some steam, some real steam." And she lets the butterfly go, and I'm like, and
I will say, now that we're actually seeing DinoClone in beast mode in a very well lit area, because so far we haven't.
It's a little better.
His beast mode's growing.
Credit for.
Yeah, his beast mode's growing on me.
Still not a realistic Velociraptor. And I can't.
It is a Transmetal 2.
Yeah, and his is very bone-like.
Yeah.
Very fossil-like.
Yeah, it's very skeletal.
I find this whole back and forth throughout the forest weird and drawn out. Like, she catches up to him, right? And then realizes that he's following her. And then the camera cuts, and then he realizes she's following him. So they're both stalking each other, and it's kind of convoluted as to why.
Yeah, it's this.
You too?
They're playing this like weird like game of like playful like cat and mouse, but it's like, why? They have no relationship with one another. Why would they be doing this?
I'm not sure what. I mean, I understand. Like, it's explained later that Dinobot was supposed to capture her or bring her head back.
Still,
right? So,
like,
she has the secrets of the golden discs, but
I could see
it's weird.
I could maybe see her and Tarantulas doing this, although Tarantulas is too much of a creepy fuck. He would just
because she would want to get revenge or catch him or like whatever, and he would want to get her head for the information she has. I can see that, but like she's never even heard any words come out of DinoClone's mouth.
Yeah, it's just, I like what they're doing here. I just don't feel like I like these sequences and I like what's going on. I just don't think DinoClone II is the character that she should be in playing cat and mouse with.
Agreed. I understand they want to show off their Transmetal too.
Yeah, their new toy, literally.
But there's no relation. Like, why would she like put herself in a life and death situation when she has nothing to gain? I guess is my problem.
Yeah. Well, they don't know each other. They don't have any kind of past relationship with one another. Like,
no. Why would she give a fuck?
He's the new guy on the Predacons.
Yeah. He's Rampage's half brother.
Yeah.
We do get a weird, cool shot of a Mortal Kombat like video game that Rat Trap is playing.
So, I have things to say about this.
Okay.
So,
it's Optimus versus
it's
Megatron,
Optimus,
by the way.
It's Optimus versus Transmetal Megatron, but Optimus is Season 1 Optimus Primal's head on the body of the reboot Megazord. which was also the body of pre-T-Rex Megatron in the first episode of Beast Wars.
I was gonna ask you because I thought that, but I like doubted myself a ton. Like, are you sure that's the Megazord?
100%. Like, even the color scheme is the same.
Blue, white, the silver ball joints. Okay, man, it does look like the Megatron's protoform, doesn't it?
Yep.
Which is the giant Power Ranger Megazord in Reboot Season 2.
Yeah, Season 2, Episode 7, Nullzilla.
We only know this because we also have a Reboot podcast.
Yeah. Called,
which, if listeners have been listening to us, I probably know. Go ahead.
Yep, but it's called Alphanumeric, a Reboot podcast. Wherever you are listening to this, you can find that podcast. So, or just type in Lasercomb in your podcast provider, and every show that we do comes up.
Every show forever,
including that one. Which right now there are 5 Lasercomb podcasts currently going.
Too Much Energon. Reboot.
Yeah, Alphanumeric.
Yeah, sorry. Too Much Energon, Alphanumeric.
War Planets.
Oh, War Planets. Based on.
Yep, couple new ones. Based on.
Yeah.
Yep, and,
and Cartoons at Night.
And Cartoons at Night.
Busy folks.
Yeah.
I think that you just. Am I wrong? But Based on for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is out?
Yep, that's out now.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more at the end, but yeah, Based on, it's a podcast where me and my partner talk about movies based on books, and we contrast and compare the two with one another. First episode was about Fight Club. It's a bi-weekly podcast. Latest episode was about The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about Where the Wild Things Are, which I've never read or seen the film, so that'll be interesting.
Man, the film.
We worked at Blockbuster when that came out.
That was fucking weird, man. That is a weird movie. That is not what I expected. But like the book was weird too. Because I was a kid and I had Where the Wild Things Were, and I really liked it. I don't know what it was about though.
I don't know anything about it, so
that'll be fun. Well, at least it's an easy read.
Yes, it's a short like little picture book.
Have you ever read Jurassic Park?
Yes, I have actually, by Michael Crichton. Yeah.
Yeah, what very loosely, and then we'll jump back into Beast Wars. Do you remember liking it?
I think
I was too young to appreciate it.
I read it, I think, when I was like 12, maybe, and I remember finding it kind of dry.
Yeah, I tried reading it when I was 13, 14, and then again when I was like 16, 17, and I never made it through, so I feel bad, but I remember it kind of being wordy and dry, and I'm wondering if that was just me being a dumb teenager or like maybe it actually is like that. So,
well, we were both young when we by the sounds of it, when we tried to read it, so
what you gonna do?
Yeah, when they come for you.
Next episode, The Reader. But yeah, Rat Trap's playing this Mortal Kombat. His what would it be called? What would that be called? What would the Transformers fighting game be called if we had to make something up?
Well, there actually was a Beast Wars fighting-ish game that came out in like 1999 called Beast Wars Transmetals.
There was?
There was, yeah. It was on N64 and PS1. I have a ROM. It was The intro theme to season 2, the season 2 episodes of Too Much Energon, that was taken from that game.
Does it handle anything like Primal Rage? Because then I might actually play it.
I don't know. I have a ROM of it that I have on my Haxed PS Classic, but for whatever reason it doesn't work. Like, it'll load up the intro and like the loading screen, but then it will just hover on a black screen. And I've left it there for like an hour to see if it'll eventually load. And it just, nothing.
You ever play Primal Rage?
I think I played Primal Rage 2 or 3, maybe.
You played one of them, yeah.
I played one of them, yeah.
Man, I liked those. I mean, as a fighting game, they handled poorly. The mechanics were bad. But like remember how there'd be like little people running around on the bottom of the screen and they'd like worship you? You'd have like little worshippers and you could like eat them and gain a little bit of health back. They follow you around, or you could stomp them.
Oh,
but you could
I don't remember now.
You could also flick them into the air, and the other person on the other side of the screen could like attack them and bounce them back, and you could like volley them, the little people, back and forth. Weird memory, I know, but it just blasted into my head.
So speaking of blasting things, Silverbolt shows up and unplugs Rat Trap's arcade cabinet. And
he does.
Yeah, Rat Trap's like, man, I was about to beat the last level, or some shit to those lines. And
then he uses the computer.
Yeah, to figure out where Blackarachnia is, and Rat Trap's like, oh, she's headed toward Predacon territory, and Silverbolt's like, no, not my lady. Why would she be doing that? And Rat Trap's like, because she's going home. She's a Predacon.
And say what you want about Rat Trap, but Silverbolt says, hey, you're not allowed to tell I'm allowed to tell Optimus this. And he's all like, it's just a protocol. And he puts his hand on his shoulder, and Rat Trap freaks out at him. And he's like, okay. Sorry, I bad touched you. But like, please give me a chance to like go and talk and try to bring her back. And he agrees. He's like, okay.
You got one megacycle.
Yeah. Which, as we know, is anywhere from a couple hours to a day.
Yep. So Blackarachnia is swinging through the trees, and she's getting spied on by DinoClone II with his like single magno eye.
Yeah.
And
which is also a laser.
Yeah, it's also a like eye blaster.
Oh, it's a laser and a blaster.
Yeah. Right. In this episode, it just blasts. Doesn't actually send out like a constant laser, but it sends out like
it does against Silverbolt.
Oh, does it?
He sends out a constant laser at his head, and he's like smoking.
Oh.
We'll see it when we come up to it. I'll point it out.
So he pulls out this weird device from behind his back, and he's like,
turrets.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Right?
And he's like,
and
now
he aims it at the camera.
Yeah, now we play for real, and he aims it at the camera and fucking blinds the viewer, depending on how good your brightness settings are.
Anybody watching this on YouTube, if suddenly I closed my eyes and it was lit up, it was because I just watched the scene. Wrong scene to be in full screen. Jesus.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean by like this whole thing is like kind of weird and convoluted. She's chasing him, he's chasing her, and I don't know what her motivation is.
Yeah, DinoClone II is like in beast mode, like puttering around, and Blackarachnia sees him, and then she does this like semi like Solid Snake type thing, like sneaking behind him and like hiding up against a tree and like looking over her shoulder, and she's like, no, I've got you, and shoots him, but oh no, it was a hologram. Which I'm like, oh, I guess DinoClone can do that.
And I guess that was
that was what
the little turret he pulled out.
That's what
that old
thing
projection. That's funny. You remember when like the like when a teacher would show a movie, they'd like wheel the that big ass cart.
Oh yeah.
With like the CRTV on it, and, like the VHS like all built into it and strapped in, so like it was all one unit,
Yeah.
right? That was way easier than setting up the projector. So that projector, right?
I have many memories of university classes of just
Wheeling
watching.
in.
No, I'm just watching teachers like fumbling, like trying to get the projector to work.
And half of the
Half
time giving up.
Half the time it just not working. Yeah. And every time I'm watching this and I'm like, I feel like this is user error.
Right. Props to the teachers who would be like, you know, choose the kids that he knows that can help with that. Brian, Steve, come over here and help me figure this up. Like, right? Like the kids with computers at home would come over and like figure it out in no time.
Yeah.
See, there's two skills. There's the skill in using something, and then there's the skill in admitting you don't know how to use something. And most of the teachers did not have the second one or the first one. Yeah, so Blackarachnia gets bested. DinoClone blasts her on her back, and her gun flies and skitters away on the grass.
Yeah, and what happens? So
he gets ready to slash her up.
Okay, so yeah, so she like jumps away and grabs her gun and then shoots and misses DinoClone, but then hits the tree behind him, and I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Right.
And so the tree like comes down, but miraculously DinoClone just steps out of the way, and I'm like, oh, are we actually like not gonna go there? But then no, DinoClone does the same thing to her, and she gets smushed by two trees, and I'm like, there it is.
Make a next shape, and I'm like, there it is. Remember, the only thing more dangerous than getting shot by high velocity like plasma rounds in this, or lasers, or even explosions, because a lot of the weaponry they fire is explosive. Yeah. No, if a rock or a tree falls on you, it's fucking game over.
You're done.
There's a cool action shot when Blackarachnia like leaps into the air and she shoots while she's airborne.
Yeah.
That you saw that too?
Yeah.
Well choreographed. It's not a boring fight. But
no, and I like when she's running away from DinoClone and he runs past her, and like he just like straight up like takes his like giant claw. Oh, and his raptor claws on that are his hands when he's in robot form can extend now. So he takes one and just like slices a tree up, and as he's running, which is completely pointless, but it looks cool.
I like it. And she even like when she's being chased, she shoots at him with her machine gun legs while she's running.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh yeah, that's how you robot. Of course you could do that.
Yeah.
So we can't be nerds and just like painfully describe all of the choreography in the fight here, but because then it becomes a different show entirely. But it's cool.
Yeah,
it's one of the better fights we've seen in a while.
I would agree.
Besides
with that,
Axe.
Yeah, motherfucking Axe
is like top of Beast Wars combat. So what's the result here?
So something that actually pretty cool happens. She gets pinned under the tree. That's not the cool thing, but like she gets her arm. DinoClone II is like give me the, or I'm going to take you back to Megatron and extract the ARC codes, access codes from you. And she like gets her arm free and like shoots a gun at him and like blows a hole in one of his arms, and he goes flying back, and he's fucked up pretty bad.
Oh, surprisingly.
Yeah.
The point blank shot. And it's revealed later that that shot had transmetal venom in it, which is a throwback to when Tarantulas did use that against Optimus.
So
But
when Dinobot 2 falls back, it's bad news bears, but not for long, because some glowy.
This is cool.
It is cool. Some glowy shit comes out of the half of Rampage's spark that's in
the glowing purple tentacle.
Yeah, that's in DinoClone II's chest, and repairs him. And it's like,
yeah,
cool. That makes sense, I guess. He's inherited Rampage's regenerative properties.
Yeah, and it's like a weird tentacle that wraps around his arm where he received the damage.
Yeah.
And glows brightly. And heals him.
Yeah.
And brings him back to makes him conscious again too.
Yeah.
So that's a cool visual. It's always just showed Rampage's wounds like mending themselves. It's never shown like an energy coming out and healing him. It's trippy and it's cool.
So I'm starting to like DinoClone II.
Because of that?
Well, I like he has a line that he says later that I was a fan of, and his design's really growing on me. I like his
so growing on you.
I like his extendo claws. I like how vicious he is. And now,
like if Dinobot never calmed down.
Yeah, and now we find out he's got like Wolverine regeneration powers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm getting on board with DinoClone II. I kind of wish he wasn't a Predacon. Like, I kind of wish they had just like made
Transmetal
Dinobot, but
I mean, if Optimus can come back from the grave, yeah, I feel you there. I'm with you. His design is cool. Like he can't close his mouth. He has a very like predatory, like sharp toothed like mouth with canines that are longer. Whereas before, I think he just had like sharp teeth that were kind of all the same.
Yeah, he did.
Length. And they were mostly 2D looking, whereas they're very 3D in this. So he's like an angry, scary, cybernetic Dinobot. And his robot design does look cool. Mm-hmm. It looks like an abomination, right? Or it looks like something they would make to fight RoboCop.
Kind of, yeah. I for the listeners, RoboCop is one of my favorite movies of all time. And hot take, but I think RoboCop 2, it has its flaws, but I think it's almost as good as the first one. I think the biggest flaw with RoboCop 2 is that fucking kid and how inconsistent his character is portrayed. It's like sometimes the movie like treats him like an innocent child, and then other times it treats him like a ruthless asshole that we should wish death upon.
Oh yeah, I could see that. It's been a while since I've seen it, but like because the scope of it is so much bigger too. I feel like there's a lot that the second one brings to the table. I agree.
And that fight,
it's not the first one is good and the second one is trash. I think they're both good.
Yeah, and that fight at the end between RoboCop and Robocane,
it's scary shit.
It's rad, and it actually served as the inspiration for Jon Favreau, and he's gone on record saying this, the fight at the end of the original Iron Man between Iron Man and Ironmonger was directly inspired by the end of RoboCop 2.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That only seems obvious now that you've mentioned it. I can see that. That's cool. Yeah. I need to go watch 1 and 2 like back to back.
It's a treat. I love those movies. I go back. I fuck the third one. I
I
don't
don't
think
even remember
I,
it.
I don't think the third RoboCop movie has like literally any defenders. So if anyone listening to this actually likes RoboCop 3, be sure to let me know. Too much
Let us
Energon at
know.
outlook.com.
Please.
Because I if you like the movie, I would love to hear it, and I would love to hear why.
Tag us at Too Much Energon on Twitter.
Yeah.
And tell us why the third RoboCop movie is good. It doesn't have to be better. Tell us why it's good.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, man. I've seen it, but like I can't tell you what it's.
RoboCop in a jetpack and like android ninjas.
That wasn't a dream.
No.
That yeah, I kind of remember that.
And an annoying little girl.
I'm remembering pieces of it now. Yeah, I remember Jetpack.
And they killed
RoboCop.
They fucking killed Lewis, damn it.
Oh, not canon. Throw it away.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dinobot clone looks like Transmetal Dinobot. He looks like somebody he looks like who RoboCop should have fought in the third movie.
Yeah.
There we go.
We'll make that canon. That was the real RoboCop 3.
Oh, I want to see that now.
DinoClone
fighting RoboCop. Ooh, and he heals. Sign me up. That actually sounds.
I think RoboCop would be toast.
Oh, and DinoClone's so fast. I might have to agree with you there. Or maybe he would need help. It's in the works, people. Tell us who would win. Murphy or RoboCop or Transmetal Dinobot 2.
What we need to do is mod in Transmetal DinoClone 2 into Mortal Kombat 11 because RoboCop's already in there.
Oh, there we go.
And then just have them fight.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could like reskin some Mortal Kombat character as DinoClone.
Oh, probably. Would probably look atrocious, but there's that one game where you can add your own characters. What is it called? Mugen? 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 Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Mugen. Yeah. Stylized as Mugen is a freeware 2D fighting game. Content is created by the community. Yeah. So Mugen. We could. Oh, I could try my hand at pixel art, but fuck me, it's gonna be bad. We could put him in Mugen. I can't believe I remembered that.
Yeah,
if you
I remember
go on YouTube and you see like Homer Simpson fighting like Ren and Stimpy, it's Mugen.
Okay. Yeah, I remember hearing about this like years ago. Wow, release date 1999. Holy shit, this thing's been around for a while.
And people still.
I think I first heard about it like 10 years ago.
Oh, it's been a while.
Oh, okay, yeah. So in September 2009, the first full 1.0 release came
that makes
out.
More sense.
That's probably when I first heard about it.
Yeah, that's probably when I heard about it too. So yeah, maybe I doubt it, but maybe there are Beast Wars characters that somebody's made for Mugen somewhere. The listeners are like, what the fuck are you talking? Or maybe they know exactly what we're talking about. You ever seen Peter Griffin fight the chicken in a fighting game? They used Mugen.
Yeah. You know what Rat Trap is using to fight Peter Griffin, though? Except not Peter Griffin, Waspinator.
God, is he playing Doom?
He's playing Doom. And it's Doom like going through the corridors of the Axelon shooting waspinators.
In bug form.
In bug form, yeah. And I'm like, someone please mod that into Doom. Because I would play that.
Where the guns look like maximal guns.
Yeah,
And the
it's
enemies
Rat
are
Trap's
like
gun.
Predacons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd play the
that.
fuck out of that.
Change up the sound bites so that they're Beast Wars sound bites.
Yeah, it just plays like Beast War, like generic like Beast Wars music in the background. Running through like the Predacon base.
Yeah. The combat music. Or the Predacon like metal riffs.
Yeah.
When they're in like combat.
Oh,
so,
if I knew how to mod games, I tell you.
I bet you it's not that hard. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I bet you it's not that hard for somebody that has done that before. For somebody that's never touched any of that stuff, it's like learning a new language.
I have a not a mantra, but I have a general thought in my mind that basically if a lot of people do something, it's probably not that hard.
Fair. Especially when you're trying to, if it's something that you want to learn. That's a good mantra to have. Hey, millions of these other people learned how to edit videos for YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not dumb.
Yeah. Like I generally think like if it's something that like a lot of fucking people do, like, you know, like modding, like making mods for games, or like editing video, like you said, editing videos for YouTube, or like recording a podcast. I'm like,
Give yourself credit. Yeah.
I'm like, it's probably like if so many people do it, like it's probably not that difficult.
It's those beginning steps with anything,
Yeah.
right? I learned how to skateboard when I was 28, 27, right? And I'm like, man, I'm too old to like teach myself how to skateboard. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm not doing it anyway.
You're all like, YOLO.
I kind of, yeah. And now
as you try to do a kickflip.
Oh, I will never try to do tricks. I mostly longboard. But I've fallen on my ass a few times trying to do skateboard things. But I will never do any sick grinds or any kick flips or anything like that. I know my desire to ride the board was what I had, and I know how to ride the board. And I got what I wanted, so I longboard now.
So we lost Alistair at some point.
I didn't hear any sound cue.
We lost Alistair almost an hour ago. No, it's fine. I can just rip the audio from this video.
Oh, okay. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. I can rip the audio from the video that I'm recording with OBS right now and just publish that as the audio version of the podcast.
Oh, good point.
The only reason why I still use the chat bot is because it will, one, it creates an Audacity project automatically, and two, because it records our tracks separately, so I can make adjustments to each of our audio tracks as necessary.
Of course, yeah.
But apparently that's not going to be an option now. So because we lost Alistair almost an hour ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what we're recording right now is not lost because I've also been recording with OBS for the video.
All reliable.
Yeah. And I can just rip the audio from the video file that OBS creates and just publish that as the audio version of the podcast.
Usually I notice because there's a sound effect when he pieces out.
Yeah, how I noticed was I noticed on the taskbar for Windows 10, there were like 3 notification icons for Discord, and I'm like,
Oh.
Because when he gets disconnected, he'll send me a private message telling me that he has. But like I have sound effects and whatnot turned off because I don't want that to come up on in the recording. Which I'm still recording right now, so this is all like going to be part of the podcast. So listeners, you're getting a little peek behind the curtain here.
But I don't have sound effects turned off. So it's curious that.
Yeah, interesting.
And of course, I didn't have. I just had our screens up. I usually have the channels to the left of me, right? So I can see Christopher Siege, Neo Cal. For whatever, this is like one time out of like 60 podcasts that I haven't.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
oh, well.
like I can't see it because I have Discord, the video chat full screened on my second monitor, which I am using OBS to capture. So I can't really see anything actually going on in Discord, just the video.
We'll make it work, folks.
Oh yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay, great.
I think our leveling is pretty good on this, so
yeah. Okay, good.
So shouldn't be a problem. Anyway.
Okay, good.
Where were
we? I think where we were was Rat Trap is a terrible liar. And they're like, hey, where's Silverbolt and Blackarachnia? I'm wondering where the fuck Cheetor is. He pieced out at the beginning and then we never see him again. And he's like, oh, aren't they in the lab? And Rhinox and Optimus are like, sure. Okay, well, you scan for them and locate them. I'm going to go out. Optimus, out. And he turns into his weird, like gorilla feet jet.
Yeah, gorilla jet.
Yeah.
With his like moving hands. That
was eerie.
Fucking don't like that.
His feet are where his jets are.
Yeah.
And his hands make up the wings, but he can go into hover mode and gesture with his hands while he's a jet, and it's fucking weird, folks.
Yeah.
Also, if anyone's like, hey, Cal looks like he's like super chill, or he's like groovy, or he's not himself, I got my microchip vaccine implanted yesterday, and I've just been like tired. Not sick or sore or anything weird, just like oddly tired.
Well, the day following me getting my Pfizer shot, I woke up the next day and threw up twice, went to work, threw up on the way to work in a garbage can.
I remember you mentioned that. Hey, at least you made it to a garbage bin.
Couple hours into my shift, I threw up again.
Crazy.
And then after about another hour or so, I started getting really lightheaded and feeling like I was going to faint. So I went home, and my partner came and picked me up, and I came home and crawled into bed, didn't even take my clothes off. Like, I'm still wearing my work clothes. Crawled into bed and passed out. This was at around 10:30 a.m. Passed out until, like, just after 5.
Also, you, like, slept an entire sleep cycle again.
Yeah, and I felt kind of tired and groggy, and like my body felt kind of noodly. Like I didn't feel like 100% again until like yesterday.
Oh, so how long?
So I got my shot on Saturday. The side effects kicked in Sunday morning, and it took until Wednesday for me to feel 100% again.
Okay, so not too bad.
But to be fair, like historically, if a medication or whatever has has potential side effects, chances are I'm gonna get them.
Oh, that's your history.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. Should have seen me when I was on antidepressants.
Oh, you got all the side effects?
Oh yeah, even some not so fun to talk about ones.
Okay. I'm on the side of things where things don't always work how they're supposed to. Like sometimes painkillers will just fucking do nothing. Things that are supposed to give you energy, like caffeine, just I'll get sleepy. I don't know what it is, or so things either don't affect me or I need extra dosage or something, and that's dangerous in of itself. Like, remember the first time? I don't know what the chemicals are in a Red Bull. First time I had a Red Bull, a couple hours after I fell asleep, and I'm like, is that common? Because I wasn't energetic in those 2 hours.
I remember the first time I ever had a Red Bull, I felt superhuman.
I wish I had that.
Yeah, no.
I was yawning 45 minutes after I drank it.
I was
I don't know why.
I was 20, I think. It was the first time I'd ever had an energy drink of any type, and I bought a Red Bull and drank it, and I felt like I was Superman, like I could punch straight through concrete. I was so charged up. It was great. Been chasing that dragon ever since.
Chasing the Red Bull dragon.
Chasing the red dragon, man.
Chasing the bull. Oh man, that must have been fucking great. Chasing the Red Bull dragon.
Anyway, so
this is my new look. This is gonna be my look.
So to get back to the episode and probably start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Silverbolt, Blackarachnia is fighting with DinoClone II, and Silverbolt shows up and is like, "Thank Primus, I found you."
This is when she mentions, oh, weird how my venom didn't work on him. A triple dose of my transmetal venom should do the trick. So it's oh, so just like Tarantulas, she has developed a venom to work on transmetals.
Mm-hmm.
Even the playing field. But yeah, they're fighting on a mountaintop. Silverbolt gets his butt kicked.
Yeah. Trying to... Oh, okay. Yeah, so Dinobot eye laser Silverbolt and
tortures him a bit.
Yeah, and he's using it to blackmail Blackarachnia. Being yeah, I think the line is he's submit or bid goodbye to the object of your twisted affection.
Good line.
Yeah, not bad.
That's the Dinobot lines I remember. And then she speed.
She what?
Keanu Reeves in Speed. Shoot the hostage.
Oh yeah. She shoots.
By the way, completely fucking fake. That is never a technique used by SWAT or counter-terrorist police.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've seen Jack Bauer do it in 24.
You know what? Maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe that's a technique.
That is a perfectly realistic and believable television program, damn it.
Yeah, so she pulls a Jack Bauer / Speed starring Keanu Reeves and
Sandra Bullock. And Dennis Hopper.
Right, he's the bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
What do you do?
You slow down and this bus will explode. Fuck, I gotta go back to that movie. I haven't watched it in probably like 15 years.
We need to do a, even if it's just online, like a simultaneous like viewing of Speed.
Oh, yeah,
Hell,
totally.
maybe we could do it's completely unrelated, but we could do a live commentary track on Speed in 2021.
I wouldn't mind actually like starting like a podcast that's just like, and I'm sure many of these exist, so it would very much just be a vanity, even more of a vanity project than something like this already is. But like,
Right.
I wouldn't mind just starting like a podcast where like once a month or something we just like record a commentary track for a random movie.
A random ancient movie.
Yeah. Like do one for The Room, do Speed,
Speed.
do The
Waterworld.
Matrix.
Oh, Waterworld's like 2 hours and 40 minutes though. The Matrix, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fuck it, yeah. If not, just to revisit them too.
Yeah, just 'cause it would be fun.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, she pulls Keanu and shoots Silverbolt and then yells, this is between Predacons.
Yeah, and she tries to be all like, hey, DinoClone II, you're pretty powerful, and I'm not a Maximal anymore, and I can't go back to the Predacons, and I have access code to the Ark. What say we join together and overthrow Megatron? And DinoClone II is like, interesting. And she's like, yeah.
I like your ambition.
Yeah, I've got plenty of ambition. What do you say? Let's do it.
I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. What do you say? And I'm like, you've lied so much better in the past than you are here.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out is that the damage on the models and the weathering, fucking good job, man. It looks so good. How damaged Blackarachnia looks here.
Yeah.
She looked like she's gone through hell. Been flattened by a tree, blown up. One of her eyes like is kind of squinty. She looks half melted. I dig it.
Yeah, and DinoClone II is
There's a lot of weird neck movements. And she's like, we can rule together.
I got one to point out shortly after this. So DinoClone II doesn't buy it, and he's like, I think you're a fool, and he eye blasters her, and she gets like, starts like heavily shorting out and falls down on the ground, and he's about to take her out. And
yeah, what is
Silverbolt
this?
is like, beloved!
He shoots a wide angle like ray of light out of his eye.
Yeah.
That paralyzes her. That's new.
Yeah,
he's got his eye can do all sorts of shit.
Yeah, it's a multi-purpose eye laser.
Yeah, it's like a stasis field.
Yeah.
Right? Like a flashlight that paralyzes Transformers.
And Silverbolt's like, unhand her, you reptilian fiend!
I love that.
Stands with his chest like puffed out and his arms on his arms on his hips and his wings out.
You hear his music? Dun, 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 dun.
But he does this like weird head bob when he says it. He's all like, unhand her, you reptilian fiend!
Their necks are very mobile in this scene.
It's so weird. Maybe I'll put a clip of that maybe I'll put a clip of that at the beginning of this episode.
But indeed, he tricks Dinobot, and it's his fucking neck.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking.
And
he's being all sassy.
Being a sassy fuck. And it's indeed, he is sassy because behind him, he's holding the Sentry bot from Portal.
Yeah.
He has bamboozled. He has bamboozled DinoClone II. And he shoots his, as far as I can tell, his only weapons are the little grenade wingtips.
That's all he has, yeah. As far as I know.
And DinoClone II screams and flies off the edge.
Yep. And
Or did he?
or
Because
did
he comes out, he like crawls up with his claws, and the camera zooms in on his face as he like growls.
Oh, right.
Good
right.
job on his face. I know we've already talked about his model and stuff, but like that's actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
When he crawls his way back up, it's like, oh, he kind of is an unstoppable monster.
Yeah, like I
he,
said.
he is like Rampage.
Yeah, like I said.
That's a good thumbnail.
Yeah, DinoClone is he's growing on me.
He's starting to. Yeah. And what is it? Blackarachnia is like game over. Lizard breath or fangs or
Pop
something
quiz
like that.
hot shot.
A spider's pointing a triple venom shot at your face. What do you do? What do you do? And this time he actually does go flying off the cliff.
Yeah. And Silverbolt immediately is like, "You bitch, you are going to betray us." And she's like, "No, I wasn't, you fucking idiot." And he's like, "But yes, you were." And she's like, "No, I wasn't. I was trying to get DinoClone II away from you."
She's like, "Why are the cute ones always tube heads?"
And he's like, "But you shot me."
But you shot me. She's like, "Yeah, it was part of the ruse."
Yeah, but did you die?
But did you die? I kind of love that. But he's so dumb. Like he doesn't realize what her angle was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's literally like, "But did you die?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "If I didn't shoot you a little with my little arachnid bullets, he would have actually blown your head off."
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of plays like coy, and she like puts her arms behind her back and like leans on her one leg and juts her hips out and blinks at him, and he's all like, "It seems so, milady." She has like a little bit of a defensiveness because now she's worried that he doesn't trust her either.
Yeah. Yeah, and she mentions to him that the Maixmals were going to remove her Predacon core, and Silverbolt's like, "No, they weren't." And she's like, "Yes, I heard Optimus say they were going to do it." And he's like,
I swear.
"Oh."
Yeah.
And then Optimus
he shows up.
Yeah, he shows up like right on cue, and Silverbolt's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, bud. So she says you were going to do this. Were you going to do this?" And Optimus is like, "Well, we were talking about it, but obviously it's up to you." And she's like,
Yeah,
"Wait."
we would have asked.
She's like, "Wait, I had a choice?" He's like, "Yeah, that's the maximal way, of course." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I'll keep hanging with you guys then."
Yeah, and as much as I usually don't like the comedy of errors that is very common of 90s sitcoms, which is somebody overhears part of a conversation, and then the whole Seinfeld, Friends, Frasier, right? And then the whole episode is about this misunderstanding. This doesn't feel forced in this because this is the first time she's spoken about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I kind of like that.
Yeah. And so they fly off, and
and she climbs on top of his dog.
His bird dog
form.
Yeah.
Which is kind of adorable. But Optimus kind of like threatens Silverbolt. He's like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna have a talk."
Oh yeah, because Optimus says he'll escort her back to base, and Silverbolt's like, "With all due respect, she is under my command, so the responsibility falls to me." And Optimus is like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a real long chat about that," which I'm like, yeah. So, and I'm thinking when he says that, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of unethical for them to be dating with Silverbolt technically being her superior officer.
But this is the first time I've heard about him being a superior officer
I
to
know,
anyone.
yeah.
I'm like, wait, other than Optimus, they have superior officers? They have never brought up this ranking system ever, even once.
Yeah.
So I think it's in general about them fucking off into Predacon territory, maybe.
Maybe.
One line I like from Silverbolt is like, oh, she's like, hey, thanks for the help and good thinking. And he's like, oh, I was impressed that you confessed the truth to Optimus. And that's a good point. One of her strengths is she's just very to the point. Like she just says what she's thinking unless she's trying to manipulate someone. And man, she's a strong character on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree completely.
I like it. Even though this episode, like I said, I was like, oh, 15 minutes of it is just like chasing each other around in the forest. I like it.
I like it
and
too.
I like how it ends. I like how it begins, and I like how it ends.
And speaking of ending, the episodes...
They fly away into
they
the sunset.
They fly away. And...
She even says, "Go home, Rover."
Yeah. And, yep, that has been the 7th episode of the 3rd season of Beast Wars. Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes on the Too Much Energon scale, which ranges from not enough Energon to a sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad, okay, good.
Yep.
Cal, what are you going to rate Proving Grounds?
I feel like it's close to being like Too Much Energon, but there's
something missing. I thought I might be giving it a Too Much Energon, but
yeah, I thought I would be giving it a Too Much Energon, but again, like there's nothing wrong with it, and I like the character development. Silverbolt is a little bit more cunning than we gave them credit for. He's extremely loyal, right? He believes in her, like undoubtingly, and fuck that, that's nice. Right? Say what you want about Silverbolt, but I love their relationship.
See, what you need to consider, though, is do we grade it on the Too Much Energon scale for Beast Wars, or do we grade it on a scale for Season 3? Do we grade on a curve for Season 3?
I don't think... Okay,
because I don't think we've given a single episode a Too Much Energon this season so far. Maybe Optimal Situation, because I'm pretty fond of that episode, but...
Maybe you did and I didn't. I'll revisit that and see what our ratings were. Usually write them in the description.
I do, yeah, so I'm actually gonna look right now.
I don't think we can grade it on a curve.
No.
Otherwise, I mean, I would give it a Too Much Energon. It's a high sufficient amount of Energon.
Oh no, we gave Optimal Situation sufficient Energon.
Yeah. The choreography and the fights was interesting. Like it was new. It was new stuff. It wasn't just hiding behind rocks and taking turns shooting at each other. It wasn't even hiding behind trees, taking turns shooting at each other, which is what it could have been. It was a ninja battle. Silverbolt got to use a hologram. It's a high sufficient amount of Energon.
So, literally every episode, all but one episode of Season 3 thus far, has gotten a sufficient Energon rating from both of us.
I gave one or two not enough.
We
Energon?
both gave Changing of the Guard.
Oh.
The submarine episode. We both gave that not enough Energon.
Rampage versus Depth Charge, round 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets a high sufficient amount of Energon. I can't be throwing away Energon like it's candy. It's very good, and I do think it lends to the story in the sense that it develops relationships. But it's a filler episode in that the major plot doesn't change if you just remove the episode. So it's a heartwarming. But the fights are good and the dialogue is good. No, it's a high sufficient amount of Energon for me.
I'm going to echo that. I think this is the most that I've liked an episode since of the show since Optimal Situation. I like the fights. I like I said earlier in the podcast, like I liked Blackarachnia and DinoClone II's like weird, like playful cat and mouse game, but it was just weird that it was between those two because
there's no relationship there.
There's no relationship there. I like Rat Trap playing video games.
Chilling at base, playing different video games from the 90s.
Yeah.
Mortal Fight Bot and geez, what would Doom be? Boom.
Return to Castle Predacon.
Return to Axelon? It's a work in progress, people.
Yeah, we'll get there sometime. Actually, chances are we'll forget about it as soon as we stop recording and never think about it again.
From now. Yeah. We're like, oh yeah, we'll like look into this. Completely fucking anything we say we will.
None of these questions and more will be answered on the next episode of Too Much Energon. I'm giving it a high sufficient amount of Energon. I think there's just something missing from the episode to really like put it over the edge, and I think it's just the fact that, like you said, this is kind of a filler episode. Nothing really of consequence happens. Like we get some character development. We get some character development from Blackarachnia, but it doesn't really
get dialogue from Dinobot 2.
Yeah, finally.
Which shows us off his attitude, his way of thinking and stuff is a little bit more similar. He's not just a screaming like Dinobot version of Rampage.
Yeah. He said a line at one point that I really liked to someone. And I don't even have the episode up anymore, but he said something along the lines of like, and yes, this is going to hurt.
Oh, she's underneath him and he's pinning her down. And it's when she's under the trees.
Yeah.
And he's like, now I'll like take what I want like slowly, and this will hurt. And he emphasizes the word slowly and hurt.
Yeah.
Like a weird torturous. And that's the part that's not from Dinobot, that's from Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Because Dinobot, he was all about defeating his enemies brutally, not slowly.
The old-fashioned way.
And he also had honor. DinoClone II does not fucking have any honor. He will shoot you in the fucking back.
Yeah.
Right? Which is shown by the fact that he has that fucking hologram device built into his back. So yeah,
what a weird device to just randomly introduce. But I mean, this show
we'll see it again.
Yeah, right? This show has a track record of doing that, right?
I'm sure we'll see it tons going forward. There'll be holograms everywhere.
Yeah,
definitely not just this one episode.
Watch, this will be the one time where like it does actually come back. He's using this stupid holo emitter in like every fucking episode going forward.
And somehow it works again. I feel like that works one episode.
Yeah. And then the next episode, someone's like, I'm on to you. I'm tired of your shit.
Did you think I was the real Hauser? Think again. You remember there's a device, a hologram device they use in Total Recall?
Vaguely.
And they like shoot at a hologram?
I haven't seen Total Recall in probably about a decade now. I think I watched it just before that that very forgettable remake came out back in like 2012.
I've never seen the remake. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh my god, seriously?" And then I forgot about it. I like freaked out over the trailer and then just forgot about it.
Yeah, you don't remake a Paul Verhoeven film and get the guy who directed Live Free or Die Hard and Underworld to direct it.
Ooh.
He is such... Well, his movies are just so sterile and lifeless. They have like... They're such nothing films. They have no personality to them whatsoever.
I'm glad that you're brave enough to say that. Underworld fucking sucks, man.
Yep.
And this is from somebody who loves werewolves and Vampire the Masquerade and all that shit. It's soulless.
Exactly, yeah. And all of this, I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name right now, but like all of his films, like they're just sterile, lifeless. They have no soul or personality to them whatsoever.
Well, indeed, in the first one in Underworld, there's supposed to be this chemistry between the male and female lead of the movie. One is a vampire and one is like a half vampire, half werewolf, like human that's been like bitten by both. And it's so fake, and the acting is so bad, and there's no chemistry between them, and it's painful to watch. It is. It's bad. And what's her name? Kate, the actress.
Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale, thank you. I'm like, Kate Blanchett.
Kate Winslet.
Kate +8. She becomes a better actress over the years, but it is a slog to get there.
Yeah.
And she is not there in Underworld.
Yeah.
So that's our Underworld.
That's our Underworld tangent. That has been episode 41 of Too Much Energon. If you want to support the show wherever you're listening to this, give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, give us a subscribe, tell your friends about us. If you don't like listening to us, tell your enemies and get them listening to us too.
That way you can hate more things about them.
If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email, toomuchenergon@outlook.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/toomuchenergon, or on Twitter @toomuchenergon. Or if you want to follow me personally on Twitter, I am @Lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. And you are?
I am on the Twitters too, Neo_Cal, KAL.
This isn't the only Lasercomb podcast that exists. There is, as we mentioned, Alphanumeric, a reboot podcast where we do this, but except about reboot. And we have another friend who comes in and joins us for that show too.
Mm-hmm. We're doing the next Shadow Raiders.
We also have a monthly podcast dedicated to the mainframe TV series Shadow Raiders. It's called War Planets, a Shadow Raiders podcast. There's actually going to be a new episode of that dropping very soon, so keep an eye out for that. You can find me on another podcast with my partner called Based On, where we review film adaptations of books and compare the films with the books. And our first episode was about Fight Club. We're a bi-weekly podcast. First episode was about Fight Club. Second episode is about Hitchhiker's Guide, as I mentioned earlier. I also have
an episode of Too Much Energon is the 42nd episode.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Coincidence?
I also have another bi-weekly podcast that just launched recently called Cartoons at Night. It is a show where me and a rotating series of guest hosts talk about a just random cartoon that you won't find on Saturday mornings. First episode, I was joined by my friend Kelly Clark from Dork Tales. Me and him talked about the very short-lived 2000 series based on Clerks. And there's another episode of that dropping in about a week's time, so keep an eye out for that. I think that about covers it all. We'll be back next week with episode 42 of Too Much Energon, where we will be talking about the 8th episode of season 3 of Beast Wars, Go With the Flow. Yeah.
Why don't I remember this? I don't remember much of this.
I kind of... I'm sure it's going to be another sufficient Energon
No, it'll
episode.
blow our minds. We won't even be able to... we'll be like, how do we hold all this Energon? You remember the limes meme? With like the guy laughing and he's like struggling to hold on to like a ton of my limes.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
Fuck, I'm gonna like Photoshop like Energon crystals.
Well, and on that note, we're going to get out of here. So I've been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I'm your other host, NeoCal.
And until next week, Beast Mode.
Beast mode!